or maybe holding back those that you know, who are actually going through the attitude of self-sabotage. They don't self-sabotage consciously. It's really done subconsciously. And we've seen people win the lotto, and within years they've gone back to being back into a state of poverty again. It's because they don't understand any difference. They've got their fear and their beliefs. Remember, we talked about the identity iceberg, holding them back in what they're actually doing. As we go through life, we actually pass a number of signposts to let us know that we're on our way to achieve our end goal within our journey. And along that way, we'll actually have some taps along the way. We have some nudges that push us back onto the path. And we need to be able to actually understand that, and understand that those taps that we receive are just like we did when we were learning how to walk. That we learned how to walk by constantly falling down. That we learned how to ride our bicycles when we actually fell off our bikes. And this is just the same within business, within life, within sales, within creating wealth within your business. So we need to make sure we're aware of that. One of the really important philosophies that I want you to take through every single session throughout the Business Essentials series is to actually understand how learning occurs. You need to make sure that you're engaging both the left and the right-hand side of your brain. The left-hand side of your brain really does deal with the more logical, reasoning, constructed portions of your brain. The right-hand side of your brain looks after the creativity and your imagination and enabling you to be able to tie those both portions of your brain together. So while you're going through this, I really want you to make sure that you're not just sitting there writing in the same colour ballpoint pen, that you use different types of writing instruments with different colours and with different textures and the way that they feel in your hand. Now, I know this is like almost asking you to go back to being in primary school or into playgroup again. But the reality is, if you write different things, as different things come up, one moment you're using a pen, next minute you're using a felt nib pen, then a texter, then a crayon, and mixing up all of those different colours, you'll then work very, very hard at ensuring that everything then becomes memorable. Because it's when things become memorable that we can recall them and apply them within our business. Even though you're sitting there on the other side of the screen, don't feel afraid to call out the answers and to verbalise those things. It may feel a little bit silly at first, but the reality is if you engage in the process, you'll get a lot more out of it. And often by articulating or verbalising what you would have said in a live environment, you'll actually hear what you've just said, and again, it will help imprint that knowledge and make it far more memorable. At different times, you'll actually feel stages of confusion. I'm really not quite sure where John's going. I'm really not quite sure how this applies to me and my business. But ultimately, drive through that confusion and process, because ultimately, the only failure that you will ever have is your failure to participate in this program and to actively participate with the knowledge and tools that we will help you to achieve within your business. Once you've done that, I need to make sure that you accept what you're actually doing and how you do it. It's all about taking personal responsibility, being a victor rather than a victim. And part of that is making sure that, and I'll refer to it at different times, being above and below the line. And this, when I learned it, was a very, very powerful thing. And a part that I actually apply to all my businesses, my business relationships, my personal relationships, and my family. So I make sure that if I'm above the line, that I'm taking ownership on everything, even on things that I can't control, that I hold myself and others accountable at all times, and that I take full and complete responsibility in those things. If I act below the line, then realistically I'm just laying blame. I'm making excuses, and I'm probably living in denial. And that's why it's a victim. Unfortunately, society promulgates the idea of the victim mentality. How often do we watch current affair type programs? And one of the things that they do is they focus every single time on things that are outside people's control, and therefore they're the victims, or people who don't take that ownership and take responsibility for their own actions and allow themselves to be pulled into a situation or to allow something to occur, and then they blame